fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God! Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
Evening everyone and welcome to an endurance edition of the Ozicar Formula Skip Barber Series from Long Beach. This is round number 4 of the season and we have 50 minutes ahead of us around the newest street circuit to the iRacing service. As always, my name is Ryan Jones and alongside me David Haynes, Jake Kennedy behind the scenes, running the cameras, and David. Long Beach today, going to be a very interesting track, not least of which for the layout, but just the one race today, and a random safety car as well.
Yeah, so not only a track that is noticeably different to some of the other places we race at, but then the changes to the format as well throws out our expectations quite a little bit. Tear up the playbook, because I don't know who's going to be best here.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at the starting grid, because that might give us some sort of form guide. It is Michael Skurlock who's got himself the pole position. Cameron Dant shares the front row with him. James Chastanoff and Russell Clark are 3rd and 4th ahead of Jason Fewens and Nathan Verney. Braden Martin and Matthew Mikes ahead of Jeremy Bush and Sean Doyle, your top 10.
Then for the rest of our field, we've got 11th place Dennis Hancock, then Peter Wilkinson, Philip Howe, Ira Felberg for 14th, 15th for Philip Backett-Soulis, Leon Williams in 16th, Isaac Summers in 17th, Reg James back in 18th, Jamie Sculler, a new name there, in 19th, Matthew Joy in 20th, and it looks like just 2 more drivers that might take the race start are Vic Bent-Veltsen and Cameron Cousins. I'm not surprised around Long Beach to see a driver or 2 who didn't set a clean qualifying time.
A very tricky track to get around. Not so much off tracks are going to be a factor, although they could be at the fountain. But that last hairpin is an absolute pain to try and get around. It's, well, about as tight as you'll see on iRacing, isn't it? And I had my fair share of issues trying to get around it, doing some testing, David.
Yeah, and certainly the left-hander that feeds into it isn't conducive to setting up the perfect line and being all the way to the left-hand side of the track to use the full width of all of the lanes on the Ocean Drive. So, yeah, certainly a difficult spot where you really got to get down into first gear, down low in the revs. And we know down low in the revs, in the quite tall first gear these cars have, they're not so peppy there as they are when they get closer to the rev limiter in some of the other gears.
Yeah, world's slowest drag race coming out of that corner each and every lap. Going to be plenty of action in this race as we have one 50-minute feature ahead of us. Pit stops, safety cars, hopefully overtaking, and some excitement. This race should have it all here at Long Beach. Let's get ourselves underway as the drivers get moving off the grid. And it is a very, very poor start for James Chastanoff. It's just Dance and Skurlock off the front row to run away. Russell Clark slots into that 3rd place, vacated by Chasty. Verney, Fewens, and Martin have all gone by him as well as we head towards turn 1. Make sure you don't go towards the pit exit because there's a massive slowdown up there if you do.
Yep, got to keep legal on the way into turn 1 and then towards the fountain. So narrow here, there's a bit too wide in the back. Will not do that, slowing themselves up so drastically. A couple of cars have a little bit of a rub together there, but everyone is so keenly aware of trying to get a clean start on the street circuit that it's almost
Russell Clark got a little bit loose coming out of the fountain, but he keeps it gathered up and pointed straight as we now head through the bit of a staircase section. And going wide was Nathan Verney. That allows Jason Fewens to get by him with very much a bit of ease. And this corner is very interesting because there's a curb on the inside that you just completely disregard and cut completely without any slowdown or off track at all. As now Vernie's going to come back at Thewins just up the road there. You can see it from on board with Chastanov, who's also trying to make up lost ground as well as he throws one up the inside of Braden Martin. Doesn't quite work out. He has to tuck back in line because here comes the hairpin.
First time through the hairpin, everyone trying to go single file, because if you get down the inside you can cause a traffic jam there. But Skurlock is on the lane, your pole sitter already.
The decision to come straight away, and he is one of the only cars to come into the pits, it looks like.
Joined by Hancock, Thalberg, Wilkinson, Reg James and Leon Williams, but as for the top 10, he's very much alone in that. You would have thought traffic is a big concern on a street circuit.
Certainly right. Bent Velson's got bigger issues on the street circuit. Looks like he's found some of the concrete, and he might have done it trying to get into pit lane because he's just going down the main straight. In fact, it's already damaged. Why hasn't he pitted here then?
Does he know where it is? So there's the entry on the right he's just gone past. The break in the wall after that, he's looking for.
Yeah, he missed it. The safety car found it. Safety car out there being driven by
someone.
Ozicar's own version of Burt Mylander. Issue for Russell Clark, potentially a slowdown because he came to almost a complete halt down the back straight, and he's under fire and overtaken by Jason Fewins. Chastanov looking to go around him as well. Clark very tentative on that inside. It's going to cost him another spot. Nathan Verney going to try to pick him off. If Clark stays there, he won't. Could have maybe forced it side by side into the hairpin. Oh, there was a lock break from Verney. Almost cleaned up Chastanov, who chases Braden Martin into the pit lane. Followed by Bush and Doyle. And back at Sulis. And Philip Howe. And Isaac Summers.
Couple of lockups on their way to the control line as well in the pit lane, where the pit lane speed limit starts. Here's Skurlock and his early strategy for the stop. It's going to work out for him. You get a lot of side-by-side on the pit exit, where the pit exit and the racing line are protected by just that red line. I wonder if we're going to see some of that side-by-side at the pit exit and towards turn 1 here.
I mentioned the slowdown you get for accidentally using the pit exit area, trying to come into turn 1 on a normal lap. Well, pretty good penalty for accidentally using the racetrack.
Joy's racing the wrong way in turn 1 at the moment, though. He needs to get that turned around quickly for all the cars coming out of the pit lane catch him.
He's got it going now, and Skurlock is home free. Skurlock has gone a long way clear of Chastanov, who should have been not that far behind him. See there, the massive gap. Chastanov comes out ahead of Fewins, and Russell Clark has lost a lot of time as well. That mistake previous to pitting. And there is a damaged Matthew Joy, missing the nose cone to his car, much like we saw from, was it Leon Williams on the opening lap as well? Sorry, Ben Velson, who had that, or did not have that nose cone on lap 1. There's your race leader, Cameron Dance, got a 5.5 second margin and showing no signs of wanting to pit just yet. There's Matthew Joy. Oh, that was awkward. That is very awkward. He's found himself 3 abreast because he was on the inside. Had to somehow get off the racing line, and it caused a lockup and almost a collision with Jason Fewins, who's lost a spot out of it. And a lot of time for the car in front as well of Chastanov. Here we go. Look at this.
Like he thought he was letting people go, and then just turned into the corner anyway.
I think he thought they'd go around the outside here, but you could see.
Then he tracked all the way out to the outside. There was no room to go around the outside either.
An error in judgment there for sure from Matthew Joy. Another moment simulation replay coming up. This is Isaac Summers. He's run into an issue somewhere around turn 6, I want to say. Oh, over that curve on the inside. There's a little crest to the road there. Sort of, what's the word? Cambered? Anti-cambered? Not cambered? It's awkward, David. And the curb sits atop it. You touch it, and it does exactly what it just did to Summers. Turns you around.
Yep, and then going around the curb sort of forces you onto that off-camber section part of the crown of the street there as well. So that is a difficult corner. And you want to get to that apex, you want to cut a bit of that curb, but then you also got the car bouncing when it landed off camber. It just kept sliding and spun around on him.
I saw this shot for a minute and thought, why are both of them driving so slowly? Then realised it was the pit lane. Nathan Verney's gone for a spin from 3rd place. That's disastrous for him at the troublesome hairpin. Doubt will be the last person to do that today. And Jamie Skeller, a new entry to the series, an old hand from back in the day of when Jay Canada used to race in the early thousands, as Skeller throws it into the pit lane, and Verney reckons he hit a phantom bump at the hairpin that's turned him around.
It's definitely very bumpy right at the apex of that hairpin. You often see people sort of a car width wide of it, and because it's a hairpin, there's actually no penalty to the arc of the corner from carrying it a little bit wide. So I'm not sure quite what Verney picked up. You often do see a lot of people coming through the hairpin, giving a generous bit of room to the inside.
Alright, Dance has pulled a blinder here. He's pulling out seconds at a time over the guys behind, and his pace looks very promising in terms of the drivers who have pitted as well, such as Michael Skurlock. He's about 40 seconds behind him at the moment, which is, I think, just enough. Pit lane is very long at this track, isn't it?
And relatively slow as well. We've seen that the pit entry is difficult. The pit exit doesn't let you blend across as well. So if someone is equal with you on the pit exit, they're going to definitely get you before turn 1, and there's no way you can come across and cover it.
Although, it's not going to mean much for him unless he starts lapping people, because we are going to have a random safety car somewhere between 1/4 and 3/4 race distance, which is obviously going to completely negate any advantages or disadvantages that have been occurred. And don't forget, you have to make 2 pit stops in this race. 2 tyres in both stops, as the director, Kennedy, implores us to check out the team name. Cameron Dance reckons he's racing for, I reckon he can say it better than me, David.
Oh, come on. If it was printed properly, that's how you'd pronounce it anyway, for Florida Control Motorsport.
Certainly making a good impression for them. 9 seconds clear. I wonder if anyone's told him there's a safety car coming in this race to demolish his advantage.
Can't come yet though, because by the maths, it's got to be after 12.5 minutes duration and not within the last 12.5. So we can probably go to, what, 37.5 minutes remaining?
Yes, and the good news is it's not an iRacing safety car, it's a manual safety car, which means pit lane's not going to close. He can come in and pit while that safety car is out. Now the downside is it doesn't work like it does in real life. Everyone slows down, you get an advantage. If he pits and the field's already stacked up behind him, behind the safety car, he loses a lot of position. So I would want to get at least one of the stops out of the way before the safety car comes out, but do you want to take both? Are tyres enough of an issue to warrant taking a pit stop later on rather than getting them both out of the way now?
I wouldn't think so in these cars, especially track temperature is just 27 degrees, and I think that's in the sun. There's quite a few shaded sections of the track as well. Plenty of palm trees, plenty of apartment buildings, aquariums, there's a Hooters even.
Where's that, sorry?
Inside of turn 1, 40 minutes you might be there.
40 minutes, you reckon?
Yeah, order some wings for me.
Well, I'm sure you've already been there. How are the wings? I think you've had photos and everything. You did the whole thing when you went to America, didn't you?
I've never been to Long Beach, no.
Well, you go to one city, cinema, haven't you?
Sure.
Sure. It's America. They've all got guns. They've all got guns, and they've all got too many people. And they're all the same. So we're on board with Russell Clark here. He's still working away at the back of Theo, and he's been here for quite a few laps now, ever since the pit stopped, ever since his mistake. Before that lap, Fewins, that's a concrete fence. They're not particularly movable, and if anything moved there, it might have been his suspension and whole rear assembly of that car. I think he might have gotten away with it, but not something you want to do particularly often.
certainly not. Again, another place here where those guys give a bit of room to the wall, but Cameron Dance was tracking all the way out to the concrete onto this little back straight here where you come underneath all these pedestrian bridges and plazas and such.
Defective from Fewens, interesting. That's what he needs to be at this point. Matthew Joy is just about to get in the way here. He's a lap down. And Fewens is certainly a lot faster into the hairpin. A bit of a slide on the exit from Joy might have given him enough of a heart attack to bring them both into pit lane for their second stops of the day.
From these guys, Fewens and Clark, this is their first stop. No, this is their second stop.
No, it's not.
No.
They're already 49 seconds behind. Definitely their second stop. So they're getting them both done before the safety car comes out. As 111 Esports have had a casualty in the way of Isaac Summers, moving slowly, but not showing any signs of some immediate physical damage. Oh.
No front wing, nose is damaged. I bet you the steering's not great either. Front left suspension looks a bit out of shape. And Isaac Summers is going to take pit stop, his second pit stop.
Okay, so in my defense, I made that judgment call based off the 360p stream, so...
Well, they're side by side on the pit exit with Clark. Somehow there's room in this pit exit to go too wide, and Clark's gone and jumped him.
Can't pass him on track, pass him in pit exit, says Russell Clark. And they rejoin right ahead of Leon Williams, just behind Reg James. So they are 13th, 14th, 12th and 13th on the racetrack. So they've done both their stops. They're the first two to do so. Other end of the spectrum is Cameron Dance, Braden Martin and Nathan Verney. And Skeller have not done any, but the bad news for Skeller is he's already 39 seconds behind.
We're within the window where a safety car is possible, but again, definitely could still. It's a very broad window, so you wouldn't really actually expect it's likely it'll be in the first half of the window, in the next minute or so, but anything possible.
I will say,
a risk that's worth gambling with.
I will say, I will pay, and I will love to see Cameron Dance get absolutely slaughtered by the safety car timing and see him tumble down the order, because it would be quite a show. So he can come back up the order. He's just brought it to pit lane for his first stop. Very committed on his pit entry as well, pushing it as hard as he can until he jumps on that brake pedal. Back on board then with Michael Skerlock, who has made one stop 7 laps ago. He's 43 seconds behind Cameron Dance. He's the first driver on the track who has pitted. And you can see how far behind he is. He's not even towards the hairpin yet, and Dance has stopped in his box. You would suspect this is going to be a massive advantage in favour of Dance, who now is moving again in pit lane. Back onto the main straight for Skerlock. And he comes in, but Cameron Dance would have still been at least half a straight ahead of him. His advantage is ridiculously big after 15 minutes of racing. Up next is a little bit tricky as well, because you've got to turn in pretty quickly. But you just got to make sure you don't turn in too quickly, because you can get pinged for cutting it. If you don't turn in quick enough, you go straight ahead and can't make the corner. You
can get 2 tyres across the red line on your way into turn 1. You can't get all 4 tyres across. And it's difficult to gauge exactly where the line is that's a legitimate pit exit and a penalty that isn't, giving away a whole heap of time as well. So to make the judgment on that one is a bit risky.
The good news is that these are pretty centrally situated seats that the driver is in the skippy, so it's pretty easy to gauge where your left tyres are.
Even by open wheeler turns, you've got a lot of visibility. You sit a little bit higher. You've not got much to talk of for like side pods or anything. Nose is sort of just there.
Whereas if you're in a right-hand drive car, might be a little bit harder to judge that left side.
In a Dallara LMP2, for example.
Speaking of right-hand side, if Braden Martin just wiped his across the fence. coming, I think Martin might have just nudged the fence from the right side of his car as he came past pit exit. No, I can assure you he did.
Okay.
He almost had like a bit of a slow slide going on, because of course the front straight here isn't as straight, it's very much a curve, a bit like Surfer's Paradise, and he just let the car drift into the fence at the end of it. Well, we've picked him up on the back straight, so we'll get there eventually. You can see with the steering angle as well how much you got to really work these cars around the corners, because all they want to do is slide out on you. And, well, it's pretty evident the fact that he whacked the fence in a minute.
Maybe no pit stops yet. Was he looking at something else?
The end of the long curve here. Watch the car, it just keeps going right.
Huh.
Pretty lazy hit. You'd be embarrassed if that broke the suspension or something similar. If you're gonna crash out, at least do it in style. He's got through there unscathed on that lap, but that is far from unscathed for Isaac Summers right in front of Matthew Mites. He goes crunch into the concrete. Has he somehow escaped? Like
You'd almost expect a deflated tyre out of that one, because the thing just, both tyres, big hit across the concrete wall.
If I recall correctly, they've also got a faster parallelism for this race, haven't they? But the bad news for Summers is he has already used his. Cameron Cousins is in pit lane. He's had to take a tow after encountering some form of issue. He was running 8th and he had to start at 22nd, so it was a fantastic run for him. It was an internet connection issue, unfortunately.
But Sauce is on the way for his second stop, so there's now a bunch of cars that have made no stops, and quite a large section of the field that have made both already, very eager to get them out of the way.
Braden Martin is the race leader now, by 9 seconds from Verney, 25 to Dance. Dance is by far and away the first driver who has made a stop. Chastenove, has he stopped? He has, hasn't he? He's 10 seconds behind Cameron. Michael Skurlock is not the first driver to have made 2. Both Jason Fewent and Russell Clark have ended up ahead of him. Back at Sulis as well.
Last stop was really long for Skurlock. You know, the tyre stops were always 10, 11, maybe 12 seconds. The last stop for Skurlock, 17 seconds. Definitely on the long side there. And you could see if he was just 5-6 seconds further up the road, he would not be behind Clark or Fewent. So it's all come down to that last stop being a little slow.
Where did Back at Sulis come from? Get Sulis 7th on my screen and 15th on Jay's screen. 13th.
Two pit stops for
Yeah,
Sulis.
he pitted at the start of this lap, didn't he? So it hasn't quite registered on iRacing. His new spot in the order.
That's why you don't want to get close to the inside of the hairpin like that. It's sort of magnetics drawn you in, and I think he's clipped the rear tyres on a little bit, but he's still winning the drag race down the pit straight.
It's very awkward for Doyle. He gets away with it. Comes out ahead of Williams down towards turn 1. And yeah, back Sulis is 13. So is Sean Doyle, so is Leon Williams. A lap down, that is 11th and 12th. So only 10 cars on the lead lap here. It'll be very interesting to see if there's any wave rounds coming when this safety car comes out. We are about halfway through that window now as well.
Braden Martin steadfastly refusing to pit.
Was it good? His last lap was just as quick as Cameron Dan's.
Not that it was the greatest lap for Dance, though, because Dance was still half a second off Vernie. I think both of them might have started. I mean, there's a little bit of traffic out there now. You've got drivers that have made no pit stops, drivers that have made 2 pit stops. Jason Fewens has gone for a ride.
Safety car has just been called as Jason Fewens takes a trip to the top of one of the high-rises that scatter around the Long Beach circuit. Not sure that's why the safety car came out, but it is rather unfortunate timing for him. As Braden Martin makes no mistake in the pits on Bent Velsen. Here we go, replay of Fewens.
Stay away from that magnetic barrier on the inside of the hairpin. So Long Beach used to be the home of Lockheed and Martin, who manufactured all sorts of jets and rockets and such.
Just watching the safety car now to see how Cards like Catch deal with it. Sean Doyle is not the leader, catches the safety car and will navigate past it. That is not a safety car that will ghost if you drive through it, so let's hope no one makes that mistake. They're used to the racing safety cars. And let's also hope the driver of the safety car does not make a mistake either. Because wouldn't that be a great addition to the event? See a whole host of cars on pit lane taking advantage of this safety car, which I don't really think is an advantage to pit, but get it out of the way while you can. And the field will be bunched up. Well, actually, hang on. Yeah, there's the advantage, Dave. If you pit now, you're guaranteed to restart on the back of everyone at least. No big gaps in the field and things like that.
The safety car, of course, is having a real difficulty picking up the leader on account of everyone who was in the top 5, top 8 pitted instead of ending up behind the safety car. So Braden Martin is still, by the timing and scoring, your leader. It would not surprise me to see him come into pit lane again this time around. So then you've got to look all the way back to Dance as the first driver who's made 2 pit stops and they will therefore definitely stay out. He's 20 seconds behind Martin, who still hasn't caught the safety car yet.
They're doing full beans though, so there's no chance of Martin still emerging in the lead if he does pit. And he doesn't, so Martin's going to stay out and restart this race from the lead. And Nathan Vernie, currently second on track, and stuck behind a few lapped cars that are going to be in an awkward spot. Now, what does Vernie do? Vernie decides that he wants to stay out. So this is going to be a very interesting restart. A lot of mixed strategies.
Trivia?
Far away.
I measured it. The Long Beach beach is actually only 6.5 kilometres, which by Australian standards isn't a particularly long beach.
So you're saying it should be named Average Beach?
I don't know. I mean, Long Beach isn't a bad name, but I'm just questioning its accuracy.
Well, I mean, Surfer's Paradise isn't exactly.
I mean, yeah, that's, you know, overselling themselves a little bit, but it's not bad for taking a board out, is it?
No, lapped cars are getting a wave around here, so Ben Velsen. Jeremy Bush almost drifted into the right rear of the Mercedes AMG then.
I tell you what would win in a collision between that Mercedes GT3 and these little Skip Barbers.
Entertainment factor would win. Let's be honest, whoever did it would never live it down.
Port of Los Angeles in Long Beach, California handles the most containers of any port in the USA.
I don't know what to do with that fact, David. I've got nothing for that one.
It's fine, it's just now you know.
Yeah, now you know. You learn
The port
something
of
every
Long
day.
Beach is the port of the future, if that banner is to be believed as well.
You learn something every day. Sometimes it's useful, sometimes it's really not, but here we are. Alright, so with these laps guys getting a wave around, I wonder if we're going to wait for them to catch the field as well, or whether we're just going to get our lead lap cars, Shackly include, all together before we go. Safety car's doing 90 k's at the moment. And there is a big spread in the field. So, let's take stock of the strategies here, David. So Braden Martin, he's done one stop. Nathan Verney also has done one. Cameron Dance, James Chastanoff, Russell Clark, Skurlock all done two. And shall we just say it's a safe bet to say everyone behind us done two as well? Except for Sculler and Joy. There you go.
Yeah, it's tough to see how Martin and Verney are in a particularly good situation here.
Well, the track position on a street circuit, but unfortunately the pit delta here is something ridiculous over half a minute.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that they can hope to do is, you know, stay out until 2 laps to go or something on this restart, and hope that in that time, that, you know, next 20 minutes or so, they're able to drop everyone in the bottom 10 or so. But even then, I really can't see how they forge ahead enough time, 40 seconds or so, to, you know, do any better than about 10th or so.
We'll see. Cameron Dance, he had some ridiculous pace in front of the field last stint, didn't he? It's imperative, I think, for Chastanoff, Clark, Skurlock, one of them to get by him. Just try and slow him down. Otherwise, he might give away. Look at the safety car. What's it going to do? Another lap. Oh, this Long Beach circuit. Port of the future. There you go.
Yeah. And then it says something on the right that I couldn't read, like the green port or something.
See, I'd be concerned if your port was green, because in that case, you might have trouble getting ships there. What with all the grass? The green.
Wow.
I thought that said the green part for a minute. I was like, what? The green port of Long Beach hosts IndyCar each and every year. 4 cars have not done 2 stops. Braden Martin, Nathan Verney, Jamie Skeller, and Matthew Joy. Everyone else has done them all, and this basically turns into a recreation of, well, somewhere between the length of race 1 and race 2 of a normal weekend, isn't it? 20 minutes. Use your money on from this point.
Dance is in the best position strategy-wise. He's got all of his stops, and he can see right in front of him 2 drivers that still need to make stops. You're hoping on Chastanoff or Clark or Skurlock to be able to put pressure on him and see a mistake, because a mistake is very possible on street circuit here if you've really, really got to push.
Sorry, there's still... Philip Howe is a lap down this... Some confusion over the in-game chat at the moment. Philip Howe looks like he needs to unlap himself as well. Which is something he probably should have done a couple of laps ago. Steady on. Safety car's going to come in this lap, I suspect, so Philip Howe's going to be, unfortunately, in a bad spot. Bit of a lack of awareness from him, and he's cost himself an opportunity to get completely back on leading contention as the Mercedes AMG will come in next lap.
The green port policy was adopted by the Port of Long Beach in 2005.
Thanks, Wikipedia.
They've got flags and banners and everything. They're so proud of it.
So with Long Beach being in, you know, it's very much a very street sort of circuit. There's a lot of high-rises around. It's on the beach. It's got trees on the main straight, which is a curve. Does this renew calls that maybe Surfers Paradise could become an introduction in the future?
You'd love it. And you can pass it off some of the, you know, the champ car history. And as far as international street circuits go, it's probably better known amongst Americans than a lot of others. Townsville.
Yeah, well...
Macau first,
No. No.
Think about how clean the racing would be.
Yeah.
Cleaner than the Port of Long Beach and how green it is.
That's not the analogy I was going for. Yeah, well, I want to be about as clean as my language when we're off air.
And when we're on air sometimes.
Insert
or maybe just that one time.
That one time in Skippy broadcast. A few things coming up this year, I better rein that in a little bit. This should be... Well, this is now basically a race 1 length sprint to the end. It'll be 16 and a half minutes when we get the green flag this lap. Safe's car pulling away, leaving Braden Martin and Nathan Verney in control of our 21 car field still left. Everyone on the lead lap, with the exception of one very unfortunate Jason Fewens, who's still on pit lane, and I suspect a retirement, making it 20 cars out on the racetrack. Big thanks as always to Infinity and Prestige, Badge, Trophy and Engraving for their support of the series. The safety car has a bit of trouble getting through the hairpin. Now it comes in, and the track is clear for Braden Martin to pin that throttle out of the hairpin. Up through the gears we go. Back racing at Long Beach. And we've got out of the hairpin, which is a very good achievement for the field. A drag race towards turn 1. Any sort of slipstream going to come into effect? Not quite for any of our race leaders. Nathan Verney's just a car length or two far away to have a lunge there at the first corner.
Yeah, the field, of course, always sort of strings out coming out of a slow corner onto the pit straight. A few drivers will get a good run and have a chance to overtake. Otherwise, you can see already the field strung out a little bit. So Clark is looking like he really wants to get on the attack here. He's taking all of the curbs and getting really close to the wall, but then still difficult to pass.
Check out Dance. He was all over the back of Verney, almost got into the back of him in fact. Now he's alongside him with the inside line. On the wrong side of the racetrack for this next one though. Will Verney lift off? I really hope he doesn't. Put up a fight, forces Dance to go around the outside, and they almost get into the wall. Both of them escape, and the best one of all comes from James Chastanote behind, who was able to pick and choose his line through the corner. He chooses to follow Dance, looking for the outside, or maybe just the racing line, and maybe Russell Clark to get alongside him as well, as Dance finally completes that move. Puts Verney down to third, and into the clutches of Chasty, Clark, and Skurlock, who gets into the back of Russell Clark.
Very, very ugly place to be facing the wrong way for Clark as well. He's basically got to wait for the entire field, and then the entire field has got to go all the long way around him at the hairpin here, which doesn't make it any easier.
A controller. Just the way he got around the exit of the hairpin there. Maybe he have an onboard with him after he got past Russell Clark. The car just kept turning for a normal amount of time. So look at this. Russell Clark settles in behind those 3 cars in front, so he's going to have to lift off slightly earlier than expected for the corner. Maybe Skurlock just didn't adjust for that. Yeah, I mean, it's 100%. Yeah.
3-4-5 car concertina check-up thing, because Clark had to check up a little bit. Skurlock then, of course, behind has to check up even harder. Clearly just wasn't wasn't sensibly expected.
Just couldn't see Joy come through there, but might explain the interest he's having in today's race. So Clark's now missing a rear wing, and he is a long way behind. That's his race pretty much done in terms of contending for a race win. Braden Martin and Cameron Dance up front though. Nothing to separate them except a pit stop. Nothing on track, which means Martin shouldn't fight this on too hard. Cameron Dan's going to look up the inside and take it away. In fact, I'm on replay mode, so he's well and truly gone through already. So, behind him, Vernie and Chastanov are side by side now. Vernie gets a drive off the exit of the corner. And the number 42 tucks in to try and get a bit of a slingshot happening.
It's helpful for Dan to be able to put Martin and Vernie between himself and Chastanov, and then Russell Clark, who's had problems, and then Michael Skurlock, who's on the lane again. Might be a drive-through, or is damaged from the contact. Chastity is the main rival, and he's had quite the difficulty and challenge getting ahead of Nathan Vernie there, but in the end, too wide into that fountain section. Vernie realises what's good for him.
Dance needs to be BOP'd. His fastest lap of the race is 1 minute 32.0. James Chastanov, 1:33.0. It's a fantastic job that Dance has done leading up to this event, but maybe he's focused a bit too much on this event. Maybe he should be practicing on his rules and regulations. You know, you do remember that time that Cameron Dance lost to championship by making an illegal pass? 3 laps to go. It's a 50-minute race. Mental fatigue could come in here, and maybe Cameron Dance makes a silly error.
Braden Martin's got all sorts of troubles there. That car is going so slow. Has he even run out of fuel?
He went straight ahead, went through the escape road, had to do a 7-point turn.
Car's not looking great.
Yeah.
Front either though.
Oh, I thought he was going to grab the fence coming into the pits. Here's a replay. Something broke, because that car didn't slow down until it hit the fence.
Here he is. He's behind Dance. This is the second fastest part on the track, on the back straight. Leads into a relatively simple 90-degree corner, and it just doesn't turn and it doesn't stop until he hits the wall on the left-hand side, sends him into the escape area.
It's a relatively simple 90-degree right-hander until you turn left. Good battle pack for 9th at the moment as well between Jamie Skeller, Dick Belson and Peter Wilkinson. These three had very different races. Skeller and Belson have come from 19th and 21st on the grid. Wilkinson started 12th and is still only 11th, so he's seen these two go by him, but he wants to get his spot back here. He gets the fence with the left rear. Picked up the back of that car, the energy of the impact. He managed to escape without damage. No, he hasn't. That car is not tracking straight. That could be a race-ending damage to Peter Wilkinson. Rear end. Here you go, sit down the straight. Not lining up at the front, and he does have to bring it to pit lane. So he's knocked it out of alignment with that hit with the fence. Shows you how easy it is to do. We've seen some people escape that sort of contact, and we've seen Wilkinson very much fall victim to that sort of contact. As Jeremy Bush has a look here up the inside of Philip back at Silla. See if we can get it slowed and turned. You'll complete the move. He does just that. As we head towards the fountain section, which is very much single file at a time.
Not quite as luscious as the Belle Isle fountain, but the race cars get a bit closer to it, so weigh that up as you will. Skeller still needs a pit stop here as well, by the way, so he's looking at Ben Veltzen and others behind him and still sometime in the next 9 minutes he's going to need to make a pit stop, which will drop him out of the top 10.
Vernie still hasn't come in. Braden Martin took a pit stop
Kind
after
of
that
forced
slow
into that,
lap.
didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, and is now running 19. Very interesting where Vernie comes out. He's only about 6.7 behind Cameron Dance, so he's not losing hand over fist. He is losing substantial amounts. Chastanov, 3.4 seconds behind. He lost 0.6 of a second that lap. 32.7 for him, 32.0 for Dance. So despite doing his fastest lap of the race, James Chastanov still loses 0.7 of a second.
Cameron Dance also did his fastest lap of the race, which was the fastest lap of the race. So yeah, Dance stretching his legs, getting his rhythm. Track hasn't cooled off. In fact, it's picked up a degree or two here in that California sunshine.
Skurlock on the recovery as well after potentially a drive-through. Going by Leon Williams, who lets him go on the front curve. To the temperature there. Estimated race distance is 33 laps. I am not entirely sure that's accurate because there's 7 minutes left and we're on lap 25.
Needs a couple more green flag laps to update, because we have done 24, but seeing as we're doing 90 or so second laps with 7 minutes left, probably only looking at 3 or 4 more, not 8 more.
Unfortunately, Jay did not account for the safety car in his calculations, his preparations. So 4.5 seconds the advantage now. It is Cameron Dance's to lose. He is as comfortable as you can be on a street circuit where death is constantly awaiting around every corner. How's the attitude on the number 7 car, by the way? A couple of corners ago. Really sliding through and using all of the available grip. And that's Jamie Skeller. Totally mixing it in amongst some of the established names in his first race with the series. He is, of course, yet to make that last stop, but still some good experience running up here for him for now. He'll need to stop soon because you have to do them both before 3 laps to go, which is probably at the end of the next lap.
And he's also in that territory of needing to work out how many laps are left to be penalised. So I'll err on the side of caution with that one, because I still don't have great calculated numbers for how many laps are left.
You're not a numbers person though, are you, David?
Well, I can read things off a sheet when it calculates them for me, but it's not calculating them right on account of how skewed the average lap time got with the safety car and the several laps we had behind it.
Need calculators at our disposal while racing. Probably the only area where the teacher's saying of you need to know how to do this on paper because you're always going to have a calculator with you actually rings true. So when you're driving in a simulator or in real life. Well, in real life, you've probably got a crew chief for the calculator.
Dan crossed the line with just over 5 minutes. It's 4 laps to go from now.
Did you use a calculator for that?
No, I rounded the average lap time to 90 seconds and said, well, we're going to have 2 of them in 3 minutes, 3 of them in 4.5 minutes. So above 4.5 minutes, we're going to have 4 of them.
Jay's calculator says there's 4 laps, so looks like you're on the ball there, David. Dennis Hancock running in 4th, by the way. Started this race 11th. Him and Sean Doyle, probably the 2 standouts in this race, would you say? 10th and 11th for both of them, running 3rd and 4th.
Did their strategy well, obviously, because they've completed their stops and they're running around 3rd and 4th. Also, they've definitely benefited from Clark and Skurlock getting together. And who else has lost many positions? I mean, Bernie and Martin have shot themselves in the foot and maybe the face with their strategy. That's dropped them away from the top 5 as well. So they've gone and kept their car clean so far, picked up a bunch of pieces as they fell, That is the kind of strategy you'd want to come into a pseudo-endurance street course round with, is get to the finish, keep your strategy clean and out of the way, and then pick up where everyone else maybe damages their car or gets the pit stops wrong, falls the wrong side of the safety car, for example.
Certainly did for Brad Martin and Nathan Verney, who made his stop and now runs only 4 seconds ahead of Martin, despite Martin's mishap. So has Verney made a mistake as well? Jamie Skeller now completes the list of drivers who haven't pitted. Yeah, how's Verney only 4 seconds ahead of him? Brad Martin spent a long time not on the racetrack on his in lap.
Verney also had a long pit stop like we saw from the second stop out of Skurlock, so that's where about 5 of the seconds are accounted for. As for the rest, not sure.
Very interesting. Ara Felberg just lost a spot. Somehow got wheel spin in the Skippy, trying to get the power down out of the hairpin, and Verney snapped it up. They'll clean up Jamie Skeller pretty easily. Braden Martin's back into the pits. Might have forgotten to take tyres. Matty come in, got a flash repair and forgotten to take his tyres earlier on. Bit of damage after Ara Felberg's car, missing the very tip of his nose cone. And running in 14th.
Breathe in through the feet so you can get some air.
Yeah, Felberg hasn't done too bad here. He started 14th, he's currently 14th, but when we went back racing, he was a long way behind the pack. So he's been able to maintain his pace, and as others have pitted and fallen back, he's seen them merge with him and he's giving them a good old race here. Certainly got caught out by the safety car, restarted a long way off the train. Gap is now 6.3 between your race leaders. Cameron Dance has just lapped Braden Martin, who restarted first just 16 minutes ago. And it cost him a chunk of time, didn't it? Gap comes down by 2 seconds. Somewhere between the checkered stripe on the main straight and
that
turn
fountain
3.
section, isn't it? You know, that you can't pass anyone through there very easily at all. And if you're the leading car and you want to get out of the way, it's still too narrow to really do much other than just wait till the end of the sector. If you do try to get out of someone's way in the fountain, you're just going to cause an accident.
Wow, so Cameron Dance actually made a mistake of his own and was so lucky to A, not hit the fence, or B, hit the car who happened to be coming out of pit lane as he made that mistake. He is extremely fortunate Braden Martin gave him the manoeuvring he did, because I wouldn't have, and we would have had a crash. So Cameron Dance has dodged a massive bullet there.
He's not going to dodge taking the white flag right about now, because with just 40 seconds left, this is definitely going to be the start of the final lap.
3.06 kilometers remain for Cameron Dance, who has been so dominant this season. An ever-present force in the Skippies each season. This one is by far his best yet. Doesn't matter whether it's a sprint, a feature, or an endurance race, Cameron Dance is at the front. And he has commanded this one like no one else has over the course of the Skippy history, I think, at this point. James Chastanoff got to be commended for how close he's run to him, though. Probably the only driver that could have put up a fight if he had managed to get ahead of him. The rest are just so far off the pace. Being just 16 minutes, and there's a 12-second gap back to third. It's the restart. One more big braking zone left, and then the hairpin as well, which is a bit of a gradual lift into a little tap of the brakes. Past the scene of Martin's excursion earlier on, and towards the scene of the safety car crash, trying to get away from the field. Cameron Dance has dominated at Long Beach and has never once looked in doubt at the end of 50 minutes in round 4 of the Ozicar Formula Skip Barber season. It's Cameron Dance that emerges as the winner.
Badeno pursued him, but only gets second, and then Doyle for third. Bit closer back here, but still spread out for Hancock, Bush, and Akatsulis could come under a bit of pressure from Russell Clark. I think Clark's still nursing a bit of damage, is he not?
Yes.
Clark's going to cross the checkered flag with no rear wing, and also just afterwards with no motor, because he is done with that car.
And Velson, here comes Reg James in 8th. He'll get to the line ahead of Michael Skurlock. And Nathan Verney will pick up P number 10. Ira Felberg has had an issue, has he, on this lap? No, he's just taking a slightly alternate route to the start-finish line. Wilkinson's in the lane. That's an interesting decision.
He's going to cross the checkered flag anyway. And just ahead of... No, not just ahead of Skeller. Just ahead of Skeller.
Yeah. Matthew Mites rounds out the 16 lead lap finishes. Let's take a look at our full race results then from round 4 of the season. Cameron Dance, his winning margin in the end was only 4.1 seconds. He lifted off a bit at the end, especially probably after that mistake on the penultimate lap that almost ended it all very prematurely. James Chastanoff came home in second. Ahead of Sean Doyle in third, a fantastic drive up the order for him and his white knuckle racing car. Dennis Hancock fourth and Jeremy Bush in fifth. Philip Backett-Sulis comes home in sixth ahead of Russell Clark, first of the Team Milo runners in seventh. Vic Bent Velson comes home in eighth. Reg James for Emu Sim Racing in ninth. The Emus did not beat the Australians this time. Michael Skurlock home in 10th.
Back half of the field, a little more of a tale of woe. Nathan Verney, pit stop woes for 11th. Philip Howe in 12th. Ira Felberg in 13th. Flying the flag for 111 a little bit there. Peter Wilkinson and Jamie Skeller. Last cars to finish on the lead lap. Smites a lap down. Martin a lap down. Leon Williams a lap down. And then 3 laps down for Isaac Summers. Matthew Joy 3 laps off as well. And Jason Fewens and the space program, I think it was, finishes in 21st. Cameron Cousins' internet connection issues.
At the other end of the timesheets, Cameron Dance, congratulations. It is yet another win to add to your tally in the Skippies. You're getting a bit too good at this. And we came to Long Beach not knowing what to expect, but it was just more of the same for you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is about street tracks, but they seem to go really, really well at them, and yeah, that was clearly a demonstration of that. So yeah, I'll take the points, I'll take the result and add it to the list that currently is.
Preparation like for Long Beach, given you like your street circuits, did you prepare a little bit less, carrying some confidence, or was it a case of you needed to be at the front to avoid any potential carnage, you prepared a bit more?
Just more or less just did the same, rocked up, did some laps in practice, and then went away with it. Yeah, it's just one of those things. I've done a lot of laps around Long Beach and just about anything, so it's pretty natural to drive around here regardless, but like you said, it's just a matter of getting up, making sure that you're at the front to avoid all the carnage at the end of the day.
Pretty disheartening for the rest of the field when they learn you did nothing different to absolutely demolish them in every sense of the word throughout the race today. Championship is yours to lose at this point. How are you planning to not bottle it like you did the majors last year?
Well, based on the amount of points gap that I have, it's just going to probably be a matter of finishing either ahead or just behind James, so we'll see what happens. It's just going to be, more or less a matter of catching points rather than trying to go for wins if we can't get them.
There you have it, guys. If you want to beat Cameron Dance, just make sure you take him out of the race. And the championship could be yours. Who do you want to thank for helping you reach the finish of this one?
Yeah, first of all, shout out to you guys for obviously the good broadcast, Ira and everybody on track for the awesome racing and series, and obviously Kiwi Simulators, Hyper Stimulator, boys at TechSense Fitstone Motorsport, and our supporters, TechSense Sensors, Rainbow Harnesses, Demon Tweaks, Fight CRC, and Major's Garage.
Thank you very much, Cameron. We'll talk to you a little bit later. Congratulations once again
That's
Cameron Dance comes home with a race win, and James Chastanoff comes home with another second place finish, talking to David Haynes.
Well, Chastity, second place means on the podium, means some decent points, but this was definitely a different race than we'd come to be used to in the earlier parts of the season. What did you have to do differently for street circuit for the longer format race?
I think the main thing was just to keep it off the walls and try not to make any mistakes. So, yeah, just a nice steady pace, not try and overdrive the car or anything, just keep it nice and smooth, I think, was the key to this one.
Biggest trouble spots around the circuit? I mean, the walls are close everywhere, but there's always one place you're closer to hitting than others.
I mean, the final corner is a bit tricky because the cars seem to just completely understeer and then not hold momentum, so it's really hard trying to get the line through there. And braking into turn one as well. It's really easy to lock the brakes and hit that outside wall, so you kind of got to be careful, especially when you're trying to pass through that corner.
Championship slips away from you, but you keep getting top 3 results, and this is definitely one where you've got to be there right till the end, the way the points are structured. Problem for Cam Dance, and you could still grab it?
Yeah, I think that's basically what I'm sort of waiting for at the moment. He's probably skipped away a little bit too hard to just beat him by one position or a couple of positions each race, which is probably going to be the case. If I ever actually beat him, he'll probably be right up behind me, so it's going to be hard to sort of claw that back without him having a bit of an issue on one of these races.
Congratulations on second. Congratulations on finishing cleanly at Long Beach, because that is a difficult thing to do. Anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, just want to thank Emu Sim Racing, the Banter Alliance. Shout out to my top fan Shervo, who's probably messaging all over the place on YouTube. And another shout out to my mate Alan, whose mother actually unfortunately passed away last week. So our present thoughts with him.
We'll see you next round.
Cool, thanks guys.
How's your dog, David?
It's not even my dog, it's my neighbour's dog, and it loves to camp out in their yard underneath my window and bark at anything that even thinks about moving, or also bark at nothing.
Barking at your commentary. David, you need to go give that dog some stern words. Sean Doyle, though, congratulations. What a drive from you. Up to 3rd on the podium from 10th on the grid.
Yeah, that was a really nice drive. I enjoyed that. It's a nice track. Yeah, really fun race, that one. I did not expect to get 3rd, but it is what it is.
Hey, take it when you get it. How'd your strategy play out for you? We saw a lot of differing strategies. Some waited to the safety car, some got them both out of the way early. What did you do, and was it what you planned?
Yeah, I wanted to get them out of the way early just so I could try and beat the safety car, because I knew after the safety car, people would try and do their second stop. So my strategy was just to get them out early, and it worked in my favour.
The restart was probably a little bit of anticipation about that for you, restarting in amongst a fightable position. How did you go through the processes there, and
my strategy was just to keep with my own pace. Don't try and block anyone. I just wanted to stay at my pace, and wherever I came. I was happy with that.
We've still got a couple more rounds left in the season. There's still a chance for another podium or two. What's the goal for you for the season overall?
Look, I always want to finish in the top 10. I'm happy with that. I've had a bit of an up and down season this one, so yeah, I missed last week because I was pretty sick, but yeah, hopefully just top 10, boys, top 10.
All right, well, who do you want to thank for helping you get it done and get up on the podium?
White Knuckle Racing and teammate Dennis Hancock, mate. He helped me out this week, so great work, boys.
Congratulations, Sean. Hopefully we get to chat to you again sometime this season.
Thanks, gents, and thanks, Ira, and all the boys, all you guys, for putting on a great series.
Thank you very much. Sean Doyle there comes home in 3rd, and that'll wrap us up for tonight's coverage of the Ozicar Formula Skip Barber Series. We're back same time next week for round 5 of the season. But up next on Simspeed TV, we are going to Cedar Lake for the ODSE Big Block Modifieds. Make sure to tune in right here on Simspeed Esports Network on Facebook or on the Simspeed TV YouTube But for tonight, from myself, Ryan Jones, from David Haynes alongside and Jay Kennedy behind the scenes, thank you so much for tuning in. See you next time.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Six very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?